All right, so you know how we all love a good wedding.
Oh yeah, who doesn't?
I mean, the cake, the dancing.
Hmm.
But let's be real, one of the most iconic moments,
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
that bouquet toss.
Ah, yes, the classic scramble.
Everyone's trying to be the lucky one to catch it.
Right. And it always makes you wonder, is there really something to it?
Exactly. Like, is catching the bouquet a real predictor of who's getting hitched
It's
next?
like we're all secretly hoping it is.
Well, in this deep dive, we're going to unpack all that.
Oh, this is going to be good. So where do we start?
We've got some awesome sources looking at the history, symbolism, you name it.
Okay, sign me up.
Like, did you know this whole bouquet thing goes way back, like medieval times?
Really? That far back?
Yep. And back then, forget your roses and lilies, we're talking orange blossoms.
Orange blossoms. That's interesting. Why those?
They were all about purity and fertility, tying the bouquet to marriage hopes and anxieties.
So it was super symbolic even way back then.
Oh, yeah. And get this, it wasn't just about pretty smells.
Okay, there's got to be more to it.
People actually thought bouquets could ward off evil spirits.
Wait, like a floral shield against bad vibes?
Yeah, I got it. Can you imagine?
It makes you wonder if we've really moved that far away from those kinds of beliefs.
I know, right?
Hmm.
Like we say it's just for fun, but are we really just looking for signs?
That's the question, isn't it? Is it just tradition, or is there some deeper human thing going on?
I think it's a little of both. But it's fascinating how the bouquet toss evolved.
Okay, yeah, from evil spirits to who's getting married next, that's a journey.
Seriously. But that underlying desire to know the future, that probably hasn't changed much.
It's like we're hardwired to try and find some sense of control, even if it's just an illusion.
And you can't ignore how pop culture plays into this whole thing.
Oh yeah, the movies. So many bouquet toss scenes.
It's like every rom-com has to have one.
We see it so much, it starts to feel like a required step.
Right. And suddenly, catching the bouquet is like this magical ticket to getting hitched.
Like it guarantees happily ever after.
But one of our sources throw the curveball into all this.
Oh, I'm all ears.
It takes a look at the bouquet toss from a Christian perspective.
Okay, that adds a whole other layer to things.
It does. They actually suggest that putting too much faith in traditions like this can distract us.
Distract us. From what?
From a deeper trust in, well, faith.
That's interesting. So it's less about the ritual and more about where our hope is placed.
Exactly. They say true fulfillment comes from trusting in a bigger plan.
Like the idea that things will happen when they're meant to happen.
Yeah. They even quote Hebrews 11.1, which is all about faith being the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Wow, that's powerful. It's like acknowledging that there's more to it than what we can see or control right now.
And speaking of things we can't control, the source also talks about the whole waiting game.
Oh, the waiting game, especially when it comes to finding the one.
Exactly. And they use the story of Sarah from the Bible. Remember her and Abraham?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
They waited years and years for a child, and she got impatient.
Oh yeah, she convinced Abraham to go for plan B, right? With Hagar.
Yep. And it didn't exactly end well.
It kind of backfired on them.
It goes to show that trying to force things on our timeline doesn't always work out.
It's like that saying, we plan, God laughs.
So true, but what I find fascinating is how the source ties all this back to the bouquet toss.
Okay, break that down for me.
It's about that tension between wanting control, like trying to predict the future with a bouquet,
Right, trying to figure out who's next.
and accepting that some things are just, well, out of our hands.
Like a trust fall with life.
Exactly. And that can be a tough thing to accept, especially when it feels like everyone else is moving ahead.
Oh, especially in today's world where everything's instant. We're not really wired for patience anymore.
It's true. But this source makes a really compelling case for embracing the waiting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do they spin that?
Instead of seeing it as this empty space, they say it can be a time of growth and preparation.
Like a chrysalis moment.
Exactly. It's a chance to really figure out who you are, what you want, and deepen your faith.
That's actually kind of beautiful. Like it's not about being stuck, it's about becoming.
I love that. And who knows, maybe that process leads you to something even better than you originally imagined.
Like a plot twist in your own life.
Totally. It's like, what if not catching the bouquet was actually the best thing that could have happened?
Now that's a thought-provoking way to end this part of our deep dive.
Definitely. There's so much more to unpack, but we'll save that for next time.
I can't wait.
Me too.
Hmm?
We'll be back soon with part 2 of this fascinating exploration.
Yeah, it makes you think. Maybe we're too focused on rushing to the next big thing.
And missing out on the journey along the way.
Exactly. Like, what if those in-between moments are actually where the real magic happens?
This source really challenges us to see it that way.
Okay, so back to this idea of waiting.
Right. It can feel so passive, like we're just sitting around twiddling our thumbs.
Especially when you see everyone else seemingly hitting those milestones, getting married, having kids, the whole 9 yards.
Totally. But this source argues that waiting can be anything but passive.
Okay, I like where this is going.
It's about actively using that time for growth, for deepening your faith, for becoming the best version of yourself.
So it's not just about waiting for something, but waiting on something bigger. Right.
Exactly. It's about trusting that God's got a plan, even if we can't see the whole picture just yet.
That takes a lot of faith, though, doesn't it? I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the when is it my turn mentality.
Oh, absolutely. But this source offers a really powerful reminder, Psalm 37.4.
Okay, I'm familiar with Psalms, but hit me with that verse.
Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart.
Hmm. There's a lot to unpack there. It's not about getting everything we want instantly. Right.
Not at all. It's more about finding joy in the journey, in the relationship with God, knowing that he's got us covered.
And trusting that his timing might be different from our own.
It's like surrender, almost. Letting go of the need to control everything.
Whew. That's easier said than done. But I can see how that could lead to a deeper sense of peace.
It's about shifting our focus, right? From when is it my turn to what is God doing in me right now?
And maybe, just maybe, what we thought we wanted so badly wasn't actually what we needed.
Now, that's a powerful thought. What if not catching the bouquet was actually a blessing in disguise?
It makes you rethink all those times we felt disappointed or left behind.
This source encourages us to see those moments as opportunities, as chances to redirect our energy.
Instead of chasing after something external, like a bouquet, we can invest in our internal growth.
And that, in the long run, might be far more fulfilling than anything we could have caught on our own.
It's a different kind of reward, right? One that comes from a deeper place.
It's about recognizing that our worth isn't tied to hitting certain milestones, but to something much bigger.
Yeah, our identity as children of God, loved and valued, no matter what our relationship status is.
And that's a truth that can't be taken away, no matter what life throws our way.
It's a foundation we can build on, even when things feel uncertain.
And that brings us back to the bouquet toss, believe it or not.
Okay, I'm curious how we circle back to that.
This source uses it as a symbol, really.
Of what?
Mm-hmm.
Our sometimes misguided desires.
In a way, yeah. It's about recognizing that what we think we want, like catching that bouquet, might not be what God has planned for us.
And that his plan might be even better.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to wrap your head around sometimes, though.
It is. But it's about trusting the process, even when we don't understand it.
And maybe that's the real takeaway from all of this.
It's not about the bouquet or the wedding or the timeline.
It's about the journey of faith, about learning to trust in something bigger than ourselves.
And finding joy and fulfillment in every season, even the ones that involve a little waiting. Yeah, it's like learning to dance in the rain instead of waiting for the sun to come out.
I love that analogy. It's about embracing the present moment, even if it's not exactly what we pictured.
This whole deep dive has really shifted my perspective. We started with a simple bouquet toss.
Right. And look where we ended up.
Talk about a journey. We've explored history, symbolism, psychology, even faith.
It just goes to show that even the most seemingly trivial traditions can have these deeper layers of meaning.
And for me, the biggest takeaway has been this whole idea of reframing waiting.
Oh yeah, it doesn't have to be this dreaded purgatory.
Seriously, it can actually be a time of incredible growth and purpose if we choose to see it that way.
It's about shifting our mindset, isn't it? Instead of viewing singleness as a lack, we can see it as an opportunity.
To deepen our faith, refine our character, discover our passions, the possibilities are endless.
And who knows, maybe in that process, we'll realize that some of the things we were chasing, like that bouquet,
Weren't actually meant for us at all.
exactly. Maybe our desires will evolve, or we'll uncover new dreams we never even knew we had.
It's like that saying, when one door closes, another one opens. But sometimes we're so busy banging on the closed door.
That we miss the one that's wide open right in front of us.
So true. And this source encourages us to be open to those new possibilities, to trust that God's got a plan, even if it looks different from our own.
It's about surrendering our own limited vision and embracing the vastness of what God has in store.
And that requires a lot of faith, doesn't it? Especially when we're surrounded by societal pressures and expectations.
It does.
Yeah.
But the source reminds us that we're not alone in this. We have a God who loves us unconditionally, who walks with us through every season, and who is always working for our good, even when we can't see the big picture.
It's like we're being held, guided, and loved every step of the way. So, to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought provoking question.
Oh, I love a good thought-provoking question. Lay it on me.
Imagine you could create a faith bouquet
Okay, I'm intrigued. Instead of flowers, what would it be filled with?
with encouraging verses, quotes, affirmations, anything that reminds you of God's love and presence.
Like a spiritual pick-me-up. I love
Oh.
it.
What would you include in yours? What words or scriptures would you weave into that bouquet to remind yourself to trust in God's plan, especially when things feel uncertain?
That's a beautiful image to hold on to. It's a reminder that we're not alone in this journey. We have a God who loves us, who walks with us through every season, and who is always working for our good.
So take some time to reflect on that question. What words of comfort, hope, or inspiration would you include in your own faith bouquet? Let those words be a source of strength and encouragement as you continue to grow and bloom in your relationship with God. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking truth and keep the conversation going.